I want to ask you something. Does your husband know how you take your coffee? Not approximately. Not with milk, I think. Or she doesn't like it too sweet. Exactly. The specific milk, the exact amount of sugar, the mug she prefers when nobody is watching. Does he know? Because mine doesn't. And I've been making his perfectly, exactly, without fail, every single morning for 14 years. 2 scoops, the blue mug. Strong, but not bitter. 14 years. He has never once gotten mine right. And here's the thing I need you to understand before I tell you the rest of this story. I never told him. Not because I forgot. Not because it didn't matter. Because at some point, I can't tell you exactly when, I stopped believing he was someone who would think to ask. And I kept making his coffee anyway. This is a letter I wrote to Mimi. I'm going to read it to you now. Dear Mimi, I want to tell you something I've never said out loud. Not to my sister. Not to my therapist. Not even to myself, really. Not in those exact words. 14 years. Every single morning for 14 years, I woke up before him. I put my feet on the cold floor while he was still warm under the covers. I walked to the kitchen in the dark. I measured the coffee. 2 scoops. Not 1.5. Not 2.5. 2, because that's exactly how he likes it. I waited for the machine to finish. I poured it into his mug. The blue one, always the blue one, because the other ones are too small or too wide, or whatever reason he came up with the one time I tried to switch it. I brought it to him. Every morning. For 14 years. And here is what I need you to know, Mimi. I take my coffee with oat milk and 1 sugar. Not regular milk, oat milk. And 1 sugar. Not 2, not none, not a sweetener. 1 sugar. It's not complicated. It's 4 words. Oat milk, 1 sugar. He does not know this. I know this because 3 years into our marriage, he made me a cup of coffee. It was a Sunday. He was in a good mood. One of those rare Sunday moods where he decided to be the kind of husband he thought he was. He came into the bedroom with this look on his face like he'd done something extraordinary. He handed me the mug. Regular milk, no sugar. I drank it. I smiled. I said thank you. And I never mentioned it. Not that time. Not the next time, 2 years later, when he made coffee again. Different occasion, same result. Regular milk, no sugar. Same smile from me, same thank you. Because what was I going to say? You've been married to me for 5 years and you don't know how I take my coffee? That sentence felt too large, too damning. If I said it out loud, it would mean something I wasn't ready for it to mean. So I said nothing. I kept making his coffee. I kept drinking mine wrong whenever he made it, which, to be fair, wasn't often. He's not a man who makes coffee. He's a man who receives it. Here's what I've been thinking about lately. It's not the coffee. I know that. You know that. Anyone listening to this knows that. The coffee is just the thing I can point to. The thing that has a number attached to it. 14 years, 2 scoops, the blue mug. Because the other things don't have numbers. They don't have a unit of measurement. How do you count the number of times you made yourself smaller so the room felt big enough for both of you? How do you quantify the version of yourself you slowly stopped being? Not because someone took her, but because you kept offering her up, piece by piece, like she wasn't worth keeping. You can't count that, but you can count 14 years of coffee. I've been trying to remember when I stopped expecting him to know. I think it was gradual, the way most things are. There wasn't a morning I woke up and decided, he will never see me clearly, and I'm going to accept that. It just became the weather. Something you stop noticing because it's always there. He knows his own coffee order by heart. He knows the exact ratio. He knows which beans. He knows the difference between the coffee from the place on 5th and the place 2 blocks down. He has opinions about coffee. Detailed, specific, confident opinions. He does not know that I exist at the level of detail where coffee lives. That's not anger. I want to be clear about that. I'm past anger. Anger would mean I still believed something could be different. This is something quieter, Something that sits in the chest like a stone that's been there so long you've forgotten it isn't supposed to be there. Last Tuesday, I was running late. I made us coffee, 2 scoops, blue mug, and I didn't make mine. I just grabbed my keys and left. I bought a coffee on the way to work, oat milk, 1 sugar, and I sat in my car in the parking lot and I drank it. And it tasted like something I'd forgotten the name of. It tasted like being a person who knows what she wants. I sat there longer than I should have. I was 4 minutes late to my first meeting. My manager gave me a look. I apologized. But here's the thing, Mimi. In 14 years, I have never once been late because I was sitting in a parking lot drinking the right coffee. That was the first time. And I keep thinking about that. There's a woman at my office named Patricia. Patricia is 63 years old. She's been married for 38 years. Last month, Patricia retired. We threw her a small party in the conference room. Cake from the bakery on the corner. Someone bought balloons. Her husband came. Tall man, quiet. The kind of quiet that looks like contentment. He stood next to her the whole time with his hand on her back. At some point, someone asked Patricia what she was most looking forward to in retirement. She thought about it for a moment. And then she said, sleeping in. Not traveling. Not seeing the grandchildren more. Not gardening or reading or any of the things people say. Sleeping in. Her husband laughed. He turned to the room and said, "She's been waking up at 5:30 every morning for 30 years to make my coffee before work. First thing she's going to do is sleep until 8. He said it like it was charming, like it was a love story. Patricia smiled. The room laughed. Someone said, "Ah." I stood there holding my piece of cake, and I felt something move through me that I couldn't name immediately. It took me until I was in the car to name it. It was recognition. Not for Patricia's situation, for the smile. That specific smile, the one that has learned to live in the gap between what you feel and what the room can hold. I know that smile from the inside. I've been wearing it for 14 years. Patricia's husband thought he was telling a love story. He was telling a story about a woman who woke up at 5:30 every morning for 30 years. Those are not the same story. I went home that night, and I watched my husband pour himself a glass of water from the filter on the counter. He didn't offer me one. Not because he's cruel. I want to be precise about this. He's not cruel. Cruelty requires a kind of attention that he doesn't give me. Cruelty would mean he sees me clearly enough to aim at me. He just didn't think of it. Here's the moment I need to tell you about. 3 weeks ago, a Wednesday. I was making his coffee, the usual 2 scoops, blue mug, and my phone was on the counter and a notification came up. A coffee shop I downloaded an app for, offering me a free drink on my birthday. My birthday is in 2 days. He hasn't mentioned it. I looked at the notification. I looked at the coffee I was making. I looked at the blue mug. And something happened that I don't entirely know how to describe. It wasn't dramatic. There was no moment where I threw the mug against the wall or poured the coffee down the sink or said anything out loud. I just stopped. I stood there with the scoop in my hand, and for the first time in 14 years, I thought, he should learn. Not I should tell him. Not I should leave him. Not even this has to change. Just, he should learn. Such a small thought. Such a quiet, ordinary thought. I don't know why it felt like the ground shifting. I finished making his coffee. I brought it to him. He said thanks without looking up. I went back to the kitchen and I made my own oat milk, 1 sugar. I drank it standing up, looking out the window at nothing in particular. And I kept thinking, he should learn. I'm still thinking it. So, that's the letter. That's what I needed to say to you, Mimi. Not because I'm leaving. Not because I've decided anything. Not because I woke up this morning with a plan and a suitcase and a speech I've been rehearsing for months. I woke up this morning and made his coffee. 2 scoops, blue mug, same as always. But something is different now, and I can't unknow it. He should know how I take my coffee. Not because it's coffee. We've already established it's not about the coffee. Because I am a person who has been standing in this kitchen for 14 years. And a person who stands in your kitchen for 14 years deserves to be known. Not perfectly. Not completely. I'm not asking for a man who reads my mind or finishes my sentences or knows every version of me that has ever existed. I'm asking for oat milk and 1 sugar. 4 words. 14 years. I've been thinking about Patricia, about that smile, about her husband telling the room she's been making my coffee for 30 years, like it was a testament to her love. It was a testament to something. I'm just not sure love is the right word for it anymore. I think the right word is habit. And I think the right word for what I've been doing is also habit. And I think the most frightening thing I've realized, standing in that kitchen, watching the coffee drip into the blue mug, is that habit and love can look exactly the same from the outside and feel completely different from the inside. This morning, I did something I haven't done in 14 years. I made my coffee first, before his. Oat milk, 1 sugar. I stood at the counter and I drank it while it was still hot, which almost never happens, because by the time I make his and bring it to him and come back, mine is always lukewarm. It was hot. It tasted different when it was hot. I don't know what I'm going to do with that information yet, but I'm keeping it. If you know this feeling, if you recognize something in this letter that lives somewhere in your chest, I want you to know that Mimi sees you. She's been sitting in the same kitchen. She's been drinking the wrong coffee too. Leave a comment and tell me, does he know? 4 words. That's all I'm asking. Oat milk, 1 sugar. Does he know yours?